Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. It's December 17th, 2020. Today we have, overnight last night, we got over 12 inches of snow dumped on us. So this is the first major storm of this season. So I'm going to go out and snow blow later. But in the meantime, I'm down here in the shop. I've got a bunch of stuff here on the floor that's kind of in my way. So I want to put it away, but I figured I'd do a quick little, we'll call it a flea market finds episode, but in reality, this load of stuff right here, this is all one lot of stuff that I bought off an individual who actually works for a distributor of machine tool parts. And because he's an outside sales guy, he does a lot of traveling from shop to shop, and he's kind of started this little side business where he's spotting all of this surplus stuff in these shops and turning around and trying to make deals selling them. So he had a couple of things that caught my eye. At first, the asking prices were high enough that I kind of figured, well, there's no money for me to make on these things, and do I really want them for myself? Some of them were absolutely no, and some of them were like, kind of. But what ended up happening was I was able to cut a deal with him where I took several of the items for one lot. We went back and forth. We finally negotiated down to a number that I was comfortable with and he was comfortable with. So I'm going to blow through some of the stuff real quick and then get to the one item. It's really the only item that I really considered possibly keeping for myself, and I haven't decided yet, but I want to kind of show you that. It's kind of a neat thing. Some of you guys may have seen it before, seen one of these before. Some of you may have not. So without further ado, let's jump right in and get through the stuff that I probably am not going to keep. This is the first item he had that caught my eye. Was this System 3R tooling kit for EDM. And EDM is electrical discharge machine. It's a machine that uses an electrical arc to vaporize metal to do the machining. For the most part, it's pretty old school. This fixturing stuff was crazy expensive back in the day. And for that reason, when you can sell it, you can still usually get pretty decent money for it. The problem is finding a buyer. You gotta find somebody who's got an old EDM, what they call a sinker style machine. So basically this is what he advertised. And I could tell from the photo looking at it, that there were pieces missing. I have no idea like what went here or what went here. And even when I search online, there were so many different variations of this kit that it was really hard for me to kind of figure things out. And then I noticed that this piece right here, which is an indicator holder, this little doohickey right here, somebody had purchased a used one of these off of eBay within the past 90 days and paid $124.95, $125 for this one piece with shipping, like $10 shipping. So I was like, okay, so that kind of gives me an idea that it is possible to sell this stuff apparently. Just got to find the right buyer. I forgot what this thing's called, but I've seen these listed. Again, not a lot of them sold though. That's what's scaring me. What if the guy who bought one of these for $125 was like the last customer on earth looking for one of these? And I might put mine up for $90 just to, again, I'm probably gonna have to sell it on eBay. I reached out to some of my local buyers to see if anybody was interested in buying the whole kit. I got a bunch of cricket sounds. Some of these little pieces, I have no idea what they're going to be worth. Oh, this is a collet holder. Okay. Collet holder with a full set of collets. So most likely I'm going to part this out. This is called a mini block. I don't know why, but the ones of these that are for sale on eBay, people are asking crazy money for them, so there must be something very special about them. And then over here we have this thing. I see people selling this thing. This is just like a fixture. Then I've got this piece that looks like it might go with that, even though I don't see this piece included on a lot of the ones I see online. And then there's this disc. Okay, so if I knew something about EDM tooling, I could probably describe this better. This is described, believe it or not, this looks just like a mandrel. This is a test bar. So you can see this is made to be held apparently between centers by the looks of it, and then an indicator run on it for alignment purposes. So this is a test bar. And I see people asking, decent money for just this alone. But again, only thing I really found that had sold previously was this. So my plan is to list these items on eBay since I'm not getting any traction on them. See if I can't just get it out of here. See what happens. So as if that wasn't bad enough, I also bought from him 2 trays of these things, which these are what are called Edm Holders. Okay? And again, there is evidence that these do sell. So it's spelled E-R-O-W-A. These appear to be mostly brass. So I got 24 of these. So off to eBay is where these are going to go. So load number 2 included those holders that I just showed you, those brass Edm holders, and 4 sets of gauge pins in as-is condition. So they're all Vermont gauge, which is a decent company. These are B series. So this is 0.061 to 250 minus. All right. These are actually in pretty good condition. The problem with this set is it's incomplete. It's missing, it looks like it's missing 2, 4, 6, 8. Looks like it's missing 18 pins. This box is in rougher condition. This is C series, 0.251 to 500. And there's just slight imperfections, traces of rust, surface rust here and there on these, which, you know, could be a deal breaker for somebody, and then it might be like no big deal to somebody else. Okay, this set appears to be a lot more complete. I only see 5 pins missing from that set. This might be something I'd be willing to just keep for myself and not be, because I'm not as finicky about it, and sell one of my better condition sets. Box 3, this is 500 to 625, D series. These actually look really good. These look great. So we're missing 3 pins out of this set. And here's another C series, 0.251 to 500. I think this is the same as one of the other ones, right? So might be able to, I was going to say, might be able to make a full set out of, 1 full set out of 2, but this set, looks pretty complete. I only see 1 missing in this set. That's pretty good. And again, the condition on these, not minty mint, but still serviceable for me. Oh, okay, so the letter series just denotes the size range. I was confusing that with grade. That's how little I know about. Next up is a lot of collets. And this grouping was a lot of collets, meaning literally a lot. Looks like the majority of them are 5C, but I can already see that there are some random goodies in here too. For instance, that's a hex, a square collet. That's nice, but it also has a collet stop in it. I think that's a collet stop. I started going through all these collets, found another one with a collet stop in it. That's what's supposed to be in this stop. A rod like this with a locking nut, so you can set the depth. Alright, so it looks like box number 1 has 72 collets in it. I'm going to go through and sort these real quick. I am seeing some hard-hinge ones, which is great. Hard-hinge is probably considered to be the top brand in collets. Well, alright, so sorted them a little bit. Pretty good deal here. I got 19 hard-hinge collets. I've got 5 of these hex collets, 3 of these square collets, a dozen of these step collets, and then a dozen of these larger sizes, and 20 of these other collets here, and 2 stops. Alright, pretty much done with my sorting, but I just wanted to address one more thing in case some people didn't realize the deal with these collets here. You see how these collets all look like they're all bored out in different sizes and everything? These are what are called emergency collets or soft collets. They're actually, by design, they're made to be able to be cut to whatever size you need. So for instance, if I had a piece that I wanted to hold around the diameter of this right here, I could literally take any one of these collets and I could use a boring bar and bore this out. So what's unique about these collets as opposed to the regular collets is the thickness in this head right here. There's all of this thickness in here, so you can bore this out. Okay, and then you'll notice, you can tell these collets right away by the fact that they have these 3 holes right here. And the holes are actually for these little pins. Okay, I got a bag of them here. And the idea is that if you were to clamp this collet down in the collet holder, and then you bored the hole the size that you wanted to grab something, well, what would happen is, because it's fully clamped already when you're boring it, it would actually, when you take it out, it wouldn't open up enough to allow you to hold the part you want to hold. So the idea is, you put these pins in to the 3 holes, clamp the collet down, then you bore your hole to the size that of what you want to hold, and then when you release the collet, it'll spring open and you can get the part in, and then when you take the pins out, with the pins out, the collet will be able to close down on that part and hold it. So this is a whole pile of emergency collets right here. So I haven't decided yet. See, some of these were even made like they were stepped. Whoever bored these stepped them. So like that one right there can actually hold 2 different sizes. So anyways, I just thought I'd show that in case some of you have never seen them before, or in case you've wondered what those holes are for. Alright, this is box number 2. A lot of what he stuck in here are these oversized collets. These are also considered soft collets or emergency collets, where they actually can be bored to the size you need. Somebody did the step thing on this one right here, so it gives it a little bit more range. I don't have any this size, so it could be handy. I'll probably keep the majority of these for myself. Look how thick that is. Plenty of depth there. So we get 11 of those type of collets. We've got an Armstrong 34-358, 1 1/4 to 3 inch adjustable spanner. Something I have no idea what the heck this is. What the heck is this? Another collet stop. So that's 3 so far. That's interesting. It's like almost like an end cap for a collet with a built-in stop rod. So I wonder if this belongs to maybe some of these collet blocks that are in here. So these are handy. You pop a 5C collet in here. You put on a closer like this, okay, and then you can drop this into your vise on your milling machine. You want to mill 4 flats on a piece of round stock, put it right in your proper size 5C collet, drop it in, mill one side, flip it, so what do we got? We got 1, 2, 3 of these, 1 hex one. Typically these come in a set with a square, a hex, and the locking nuts. So these are remnants of sets. This is a, well, now that's interesting. What is that? That's almost like a tap holder. Got a weld-on shank on it, but then a place for a grub screw here to hold something else in there with a weld-on shank. But what this has the ability to do is, it's keyed so it'll still be driven, but it can do this, right? Which is what a tap might want to do. Huh. No markings or name on here, so... This, well, that's also got the bevel, so that's also a 5C collet block by the looks of it. Different design though. What do we got? This is different. Eagle Rock. Alright, so I've seen some Eagle Rock 5C collet fixtures, and I'm wondering if this is probably part of an Eagle Rock 5C collet fixture that has, well, some sorry guys out there with a fixture that probably went in the trash because he couldn't find this piece. So the question is there any way this could be used without the rest of the fixture? Well, that's interesting. This is like a set screw in there. That keys it, okay. But then what do? That ain't gonna work. So that's why I think that that's not going to be of any real use to anybody now. As opposed to this one. I don't know what this is. It's got a nice hardened collet in it. This I guess you could still use. Sort of. You could hold it by the flats in a vise. I don't know how practical it is though. But we're going to call it nut. That could go with one of these blocks. So, alright, so that's decent. I might keep this. I might keep this for my collet block set. Oh, looks like I'm not going to be able to keep this for myself. At least I probably shouldn't, because this piece does go with this piece. I was able to tell from the logo here, this is from a company called Global CNC. It's got a number 88-5C. That's what led me to find out that this is made by a company called Global CNC. It's a USA made piece. It's a 2-inch OD 5C collet bushing. So I guess the idea is you can drop any 5C collet you want into this, and then this must go in some fixture for CNC milling. I'm going to probably just keep these together and try and sell this complete. So this next item is still in the trunk of the Ultima. Because it's heavy, and I actually decided to market it right from my trunk of my car. Basically, I think I've got this thing sold already, so and I might end up actually delivering it because my buyer is not that far, and I'm heading out that way anyways today for another pick. So this is a Phase 2 10-inch horizontal vertical rotary table. So what's nice about this model is it's not that's the horizontal mode, right? But you can also flip it up on this flat side right here, and you can go vertical with it. They also apparently, I just learned this last night, that they made a indexing plate kit that apparently you can use with this. But there's a way you can actually mount index plates on here to make it almost like an indexing rotary table, which is kind of neat. So these, depending on where you're buying from, these are still available. They're still selling this model. I think I found it online from a seller on eBay, brand new for about 650 something bucks. If you buy it from MSC, it's like 900 and something. But of course you're buying a more reputable dealer if you're buying from MSC, so it really depends, I guess, on how you look at it. You know, when you see it for $650 on eBay, it's like, could they be cloning these things? I mean, it's already an import, but it's actually a good quality import. But anyways, I offered this up for sale for $250, and I think I've got somebody interested, so that might be going away today. So that might be the saving grace in this pick. All that other stuff that I bought, with the exception, of course, the item I'm keeping for myself, which I'm going to feature probably coming up next. So guys, this is the item that seller had available that I wanted to, I was interested in purchasing for myself. These occasionally come up for sale on eBay. Usually the asking price on these is usually quite high, but if you look at previous sales, as often is the case, it ends up being a situation that the only ones that only end up seem to be selling on eBay are the ones that are priced lower. So that tells me that these were probably very expensive when they were new, but that because of the age of many of these, and I guess they're just not as practical as far as uses today. Or I'm not sure exactly what the key factors are, but long story short, this is a specialized grinding head. I already have a grinding head, for lack of a better term, that I never really did identify exactly what it was used for. I had bought that at a flea market about a year and a half ago, and that seems to work perfectly fine. But that's just got a regular plug on it, and I plug it in directly into the outlet. And what I've learned since then about these units is that they're actually supposed to be operated with a dedicated power supply, and that's what I saw in the photograph when I first messaged him about purchasing it. And then after we cut a deal and I drove out there to meet him, he had forgot to bring this power supply. And he actually initially wasn't sure what I was talking about, and then I explained it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm sure that's there. I must have just forgot." So when I went out for my second trip, I picked up the rest of the stuff that I purchased that we cut a deal on, and the power supply unit. So now it's my first chance to actually test this thing, because I would have tested it right there before I paid for it, except for the fact that I didn't have the power supply, and I didn't want to plug it directly in, even though it's got a regular outlet on it, regular plug on it. I could plug it directly into an outlet, but the problem is, my understanding is that it's actually recommended that you start these at lower RPM and let them warm up. That you have the oil or the grease in the bearings should actually get a chance to warm up and liquefy a little bit before you max these things out on RPMs. So this is what the beast looks like. Okay, it's in excellent shape physically from what I can see. It's got a R8 spindle on it, so this is designed to be put right in the spindle on a Bridgeport, or in my case on my Wells Index mill. Okay. It's got a collet holder on the end. I'm not sure what size collets it uses. Here's a little bit of paperwork. Assembly for self-release collets and chuck nuts. So that's okay. That's just talking about how to take this nose off. It's kind of neat. The front flips down so you can get to the little tray that's in here, and what we've got in here are a few things. So, oh, I see. There's a metal disc in here so that this magnet base won't be left flopping around in there, and I see a diamond dresser on the end of this. So this is for dressing the wheels, and I guess by design you would just pop this down on your table on the milling machine, right? That's kind of cool. It's a strong magnet. I got some little grinding wheels in here. I also have what look like burrs. I wonder if these are carbide or if these are diamond. They don't feel heavy enough to be carbide, so I'm wondering if those are actually diamond. Got a few different ones here. Oh, good. Looks like there is some more paperwork in here. Maybe there's some information about how to use it, or maybe not. Let's see. This might not even have anything to do with this. This is a Compu cutting speed. Oh, okay. This is kind of neat. Yeah, so this is for the precise grinder. Oh, look at that. They show the different models here, and that one right there looks like, no, maybe it's that one. One of these right here look a lot like my other one. Huh. Which my plan for my other one was, I was thinking maybe I could make a holder that I could clamp around that quill that would actually interface with my tool post on my lathe. And then I could do some internal grinding. Alright, so that's kind of neat. So this appears to just be instructions on how to use this Compu calculator slide chart. So not really telling us much about how to use or warm up the unit. Oh, good. I see some other collets in here. I see a... Well, that's interesting. I don't think that belongs in there. Oh, I bet you this is an alternate mount. So I bet you could take that R8 off of there and screw this on, and then this can be used in a collet on like a jig bore or something like that, probably. I bet you that's what that is. That probably goes right on there. That's good to know. I see some extra collets in here. Another thing, I don't know what it is, but obviously it belongs because it says Precise right on it. Some more grinding stones, some more wrenches. This thing. There's what looks like an inspection label right here. It says this is a model 1157 by the looks of it. 1982. Let's get this off to the side. So I'm not going to bother bringing this over to the mill and putting it in the mill and grinding anything with it right now. I just kind of want to do a quick check and make sure it seems to be operating okay. All right, so we got an outlet on the side here, which is clearly going to be the output. We got an ammeter, got a fuse. So I don't know if this thing's just basically a variac and it just varies the AC. Basically, we probably have a rheostat in here, and it's just got an ammeter built into it. So I'm gonna plug this in. Okay. Now this whole body on this thing is all metal, so you know, if we had a problem with the wiring and everything, I am probably about to electrocute myself, which would probably be my greatest YouTube video ever. Oh, all right. This says tool capacity at 45,000 RPM. And carbide jig mills, 3/8 inch diameter, 1 inch long. All right, so you see it was a little bit noisier when it first started, and now it seems to be quieting down a little bit. Sounds pretty good. I really feel the air coming off of there. There must be a fan inside here to cool the armature, because there's a lot of air coming out over here. All right, over here it says 1,000 minimum, so I'm assuming that means that when it's here, that's at 1,000 RPM is the minimum. And then this goes up to a max of 45, and since this tool capacity is 45,000, I'm going to assume that this roughly corresponds to 10 thousandths, so 25 times 1,000. So when I got up to here, that was 25,000 RPM. So it looks like the no load amperage at 45,000 RPM setting is about 2 amps. So that seems pretty good. And I don't know if you guys can appreciate, this thing is rock steady smooth. I've just got this thing laying on the bench, and this thing's chooching at 45,000 RPM and it's not even moving. I mean, it's got some weight to it, but I mean, no vibration is what I'm getting at. It's not sitting here, you know, rocking and rolling or anything. This truly is a precise grinder. So the interesting thing about this grinder that I noticed, I did find somebody online who did a video showing this a grinder of this type in use, very similar to this one. And unfortunately, he just kind of showed it working, and then I guess he's one of those guys that doesn't like to talk. So the interesting thing about this is I originally thought that the only reason that you mounted this in the mill was because you just needed a good sturdy something to hold it, and that the mill essentially acted like a big jig borer or something. But it turns out, no, in fact, by design, you are supposed to spin this whole thing. By design, this is made, there must be a slip ring connection in here or something that allows this cord to be held. This rod right here is supposed to be a rod that screws on here. It's probably in the box. Basically, this is going to be held so that this part doesn't spin, and then this whole thing is going to be spinning in the milling machine while the grinder's running. And what's going on is there is a dovetail here, like a boring head. So we've got this dovetail right here, like a boring head, these two mating surfaces, and we've got a micrometer setting right here where we can offset this. So kind of wild. So I look forward to getting this set up on the mill down the road and making a video and showing what kind of finish this thing can achieve. So anyways, yeah, so this is a catalog number 1157 JIL. This is maximum amperage is 5.6 amps. So maximum no load speed 45,000 RPM. So of course it was only drawing 2 amps, but that was no load, and I'm sure as soon as it starts grinding, that amperage meter will start kicking up. All right.